Welcome back, guys, to the Great Ace Attorney Adventures, where last episode with Satoru Hosonaga quickly leaving the stand after giving us a business card with a room layout drawn upon it. Prosecutor Aochi called up two other witnesses instead, as Iyesa Nosa and Kyurio Korekuta took the stage and told us what they saw. So came Ryunosuke's first time to cross-examine and press as he stumbled through proceedings. However, he managed to reveal the presenting of photographic evidence that Iyesa Nosa had not seen the actual act of murder take place at all, leading to our second testimony, the true culprit, as we now begin our cross-examination. Even if what I saw wasn't the precise moment the firearm was discharged, it's almost the same thing! Is it? Yes! No, it's not the same thing at all! For a start, I didn't fire that gun. We have a difference of opinion on that. The opinion of a uniformed officer versus that of a fledgling cadet. I don't think so. Consider this, defendant. Just a moment ago, I blinked. Did you? Did you see it? Did you see me blink? How could I? And yet, it is an undeniable fact that I did blink. So there you have it. Have what? Tension! The sound of the firearm rang in my ears in the very next moment. I saw you waving the gun at the Englishman. I think that says it all, don't you? And let us not forget that the antiques dealer witnessed the accused in this most incriminating position as well. Isn't that so, Korekuta-san?
Yes, pointing his gun at the foreign man he was, that young lad in black. That much I myself did see.
Yes! Yes, it may be true that I was holding the gun at that point in time. But I've told you already, that's only because I picked it up off the floor. Ooh, a gun. Is it loaded? Well, obviously, it's the culprit. That's the only way you could explain it away. I just finished drinking my coffee, and I was about to leave the restaurant when I noticed a gun on the floor at Dr. Wilson's feet, so I picked it up. And exactly that moment, a gunshot rang in my ears.
A full of event beyond our control, life is.
Sorry? What do you mean?
In your case, you found a pistol on the floor and picked it up, which precipitated this testing predicament. Whereas, conversely, I failed to pick up the contraband from the floor and find myself in an equally testing predicament as a result. Anyway, the fact remains, myself, I did see you, with pistol in hand, standing over the foreigner.
Furthermore, a visual search of the premises at the time confirmed that we were the only personnel present. Yes! Which we debate. We must have noticed someone else at Dr. Wilson's table. There was a lady there. Objection! As you have been at pains to point out time and again, I feel I'm growing a callus in my ear. And yet, no one else appears to have caught even a glimpse of this woman. If only there'd been more people dying there at the time, then someone else would have noticed her. Unfortunately, it was already past 2 p.m. when it happened. The quiet time between lunch and dinner in any restaurant. I know. Of course the place was almost empty. It's what you'd expect.
Certainly. 2 p.m. is neither here nor there in terms of a time to eat. I wonder if there was a reason why the victim was eating at that time of day, and why he was alone.
Yes, Your Excellency. There was indeed a reason. There was. This was found in the victim's jacket pocket.
What is that, Counsel?
It is a medical report card, Your Excellency. It would seem that the victim had an appointment at a clinic prior to visiting the restaurant.
Potter Clinic. Yes, there would indeed appear to be an entry for the date in question. 19th of November, noon to past 1 p.m.
The very day of the incident. So the victim went for a late lunch following his appointment. The explanation couldn't be more simple. The prosecution felt no need to submit this evidence before, as it really has no bearing on the case. I wonder, what do you think, Ryunosuke? Ryunosuke thinks what? Well, it is hard to see how it could be related, really. Remember, you can request for it to be entered in the court record as evidence if you think it could be useful. Should I ask for Dr. Wilson's medical report card to be submitted as evidence or not? I mean, why not?
Yes!
If I may, I'd like to ask for that medical report card to be submitted as evidence, Your Excellency. On what grounds? The court has already heard conclusive witness testimony. Additional evidence would be extraneous. Not to mention that the victim's movements prior to his arrival at the restaurant are of no concern.
Objection!
Whether or not they are of concern is up to us to decide. We have a right to explore all possible avenues. I beg your pardon? You have no authority to refuse a perfectly valid request for the submission of evidence.
Very well. The court will grant the defense's request.
Youngsters these days are forever asserting their rights. It's a most disturbing trend.
Officer, kindly add the victim's medical report card to the court record.
Okay, I guess we should look at that. The victim's medical report card has been entered. What we need right now is new clues. We have to explore things from every possible angle, even if they don't seem relevant at first. Right, I hear you. You can conspire to prolong this trial as much as you like, but it's the day after the festival already for you. Or perhaps you'd forgotten that these witness testimonies leave no room for doubt. Feel free to reiterate for the accused, Korekuta-san. Well, I need to check out stuff first, so... No, not present! Okay, can I just examine it? Okay, it just says a medical report card model clinic that was found in the wait. Okay, that's not his pocket. Damn. It's just like, has it gone through? Is it a breast pocket or something? Mahata Clinic. Right, I have no clue what I'm doing. So, in that case, we always just keep on pressing.
Indeed. Alone he was, the Englishman, dining all by himself.
Yes!
So you actually saw that with your own eyes, did you? The victim, Dr. Wilson, dining alone.
That I did. Forgive me for the position I placed you in.
So the testimonies of the old man, the soldier, and the waiter all agree on that point. Isn't that interesting? And let us not forget the incontestable evidence we have to support their statements as well. As can clearly be seen, there's only a single beefsteak on the victim's table. A meal for one.
No.
The antique dealer, the sergeant, and the waiter who testified before. It's not impossible that they're all lying. But if so, then why? If I'm perfectly honest, I have absolutely no idea.
Therefore, no one other than the black uniform cadet could have dispatched the Englishman. Over and out.
Okay.
Yes!
Why aren't you telling the truth?
What? What did you say, cadet?
I clearly remember. There was a woman sitting across the table from the professor. Perhaps one of you might not have noticed. But for both of you to have failed to see the professor's dining companion, it's just not possible.
Unfortunately for you, Defendant Naruhodo, it's not just a case of these two witnesses alone.
Sorry?
The waiter, whose testimony the court heard earlier, clearly stated the same thing. He also said that the victim was alone.
That's right. Precisely. In other words, you are the sole proponent of this phantom lady. But I... If such a woman were indeed present at the scene, the prosecution demands to see proof. And if no such proof exists, the prosecution demands that no further mention of this phantom woman be made. It's a blatant waste of the court's time. There's nothing I can say to that. Excellent work, Ryunosuke. We've gleaned some new information now. It's just a press all, that's fine with me. Well, yes, but I don't feel like it changes much. I can't see that it brings any real discrepancies to light. I wouldn't be so sure. Let me see that medical report card you got before. Oh, you mean this? Yes, this is the brand new piece of evidence. So perhaps we should examine it in a little more detail. I mean, I tried, but I could only present. How exactly? Teach me. You'll notice that some pieces of evidence bear a magnifying glass. These are the ones you may examine. Press X and you can take a closer look at the piece in question. I'm pretty sure I can do that. Use the stick to rotate the evidence in all directions and examine it from all angles. By using L and all that, we can move the cursor around. Ooh, I want to examine something else. For points of interest, yeah? You can move the crosses around to hunt for clues that may have been missed before. If the crosses start to pulsate, press X to investigate further. So, partner, I think you should take a closer look at this medical report card. See if there isn't something new to be learnt by examining it in more detail. Alright, I'll see what I can do. I need to use the R stick or the L stick and X to inspect any areas of the evidence that look suspicious. And I'm already in it by the look of it. Well, interestingly, straight away, something. I mean, I could examine this too. It says Hoda Clinic on this medical report card. I hate clinics, almost as much as I hate hospitals and surgeries. Aren't they all the same? When I was 5, I caught the only cold I've ever had in my life. And I remember, even though I felt awful already, I had to have this hideous injection in my right arm. I never forget it. Never in my whole life. Most people would give their right arm to have had only one cold in their whole life. Anyway, I don't think this is the clinic where they treat people for illnesses like that. Let's keep looking for clues. We don't want to miss anything. Oh, it's just a little injection. Don't be a baby, he says. Not fond of them. No one's fond of them. Just a little injection. Can I have it? Dentist, Hoda Clinic. Date. No date on it. Looks like this medical report card was first issued quite some time ago. It's probably a record of long-term treatment. That's why. With a family doctor, I imagine. Well, I can't imagine. Going to a doctor, I mean. As long as I'm alive, I'm never consulting one. Well, if you were dead, there'd be no point. So, you don't like doctors then? Why would you? They make you drink horrible tasting medicine, they give you painful injections, and then they demand lots of money from you for the privilege. Or when you're at your lowest ebb. You sound like a model patient. With a bad case of stubbornness, no less, for which the only cure is very bitter medicine indeed. Alright, let's check this out. God, I can check out every entry. Let's have a look. This is some kind of medical history. And there's an entry for the day the professor was killed. Extraction of molar with topical anesthesia. Extraction of molar? You mean he had a tooth taken out? It would seem so. Just before the incident, he'd had a bad tooth removed. Perhaps they use laughing gas. That's the most modern practice in the West for pain relief. Yes, I've heard of this anesthesia. Although, it's hard to believe there's anything that can actually stop you feeling pain. There's a cautionary note from the medical practitioner as well. Strictly no food or drink besides water for 3 hours post-procedure until anesthetic effects have passed. Really? Sounds like information worth bearing in mind. The medical report card's information has been updated in the court record, meaning that food is not for him, of course. With this new information, the meaning of that one particular statement totally changes. So, I think it's time we listen to the testimony again, don't you? Definitely! Even if I saw wasn't the precise moment the firearm was discharged, it's almost the same thing, is it now? I can skip through them now. We're looking for an eating statement. So it's fourth one. Alone he was, the Englishman, dining all by himself. There was literally no reason to be dining. Just checking everything. Okay. Let's go to present. I'm not presenting this. I just want to examine it a little further. Chief Inspector Satoru Hosonaga. Primary Criminal Investigation Division, Imperial Police Bureau. Oh, really now? Well, that's unexpected. What is? Look, do you see it says the witness's name here? Satoru Hosonaga. Well, yes, business cards do tend to show the person's name. That's sort of the point. It's not the name that's unexpected. It's his job title. His job. Oh! Chief Inspector Satoru Hosonaga, Primary Criminal Investigation Division, Imperial Police Bureau. Inspector? What on earth? I have no idea. Let's face it, the police have a lot of power and influence. If they're wielding it somehow here. Well, they need to clean it up quickly, don't they? Which does not bode well for me. The waiter's business card has been updated as well. That was cool to check out. I don't think that's going to update me. This plan in the restaurant raises a number of questions, I think. Definitely. It's supposed to show the relative position of everything in the moments following the incident. But there's nothing to show the woman you say you saw there. Exactly, and that's not all. Look here in the upper left, where it says kitchen. Oh yes, what of it? No one would use those complicated characters to write kitchen, especially not if they were in a hurry. You mean you don't remember those characters yourself, don't you? Study harder, Ryunosuke. Ryunosuke, no! Well, you know, it's simple characters versus bigger characters, isn't it? Different characters exists. More complex forms of the Japanese language. Things that are a lot easier to read as well. Right, well, I've examined that. I think I'll leave it at that for the time being. Oh yeah, because we're presenting the medical report card here.
Yes!
Well, I think,
About what are you wittering, lad? Call yourself a lawyer?
Actually, no. I wish I could. But first and foremost here, I'm the accused. Ryunosuke. Everyone stumbles on their words occasionally. Under the circumstances, I wouldn't worry about it. Thanks, Kazuma. I can see it quite clearly in that cross-examination you just carried out. When you raised your hand straight up like that, purposely. You knew exactly what it was you wanted to say. Don't feel like you have to choose your words carefully. Just say what you're thinking. All right. And thanks for the advice. Korekuta-san. This is a medical report card belonging to the victim.
I see, and I don't see. What of it, boy?
Comparing what is written on this report card with your witness statement, something clearly doesn't add up.
Objection!
Dear me. Have you forgotten my word so soon, you amateur? Sorry, what? You are not to interrupt court proceedings with your amateurish drivel. But let's see if I can explain in words you might understand. It was after 2 p.m. in the afternoon when the victim was murdered at the restaurant. Whatever he may or may not have done before that time is completely irrelevant. But that's, Remember, Ryunosuke, you don't have to use clever language or fancy words. Just make your point. Your Excellency, I believe we're finished here. There's surely no need to prolong this trial further. The witness testimonies the court has heard have been clear and concise. This medical report card has no bearing on the matter at all, for the simple reason that there is no one else besides this pale-faced pupil who could possibly have done what? This medical report card has nothing to do with the case. Do you really believe that? What? That outburst half petrified me, boy! Of course I believe it. How could it possibly be relevant? Perhaps because Hode Clinic, which issued the report card, is a dental clinic. A dental clinic? Is that supposed to mean something to me? Perhaps if I told you that the victim had just had a tooth extracted?
What's this now?
And furthermore, if I told you that as a result, the victim had been forbidden from eating.
Just what are you trying to say, cadet? He had orders not to eat. So what?
It's all written up in here. No food or drink other than water for 3 hours post-procedure while anesthesia wears off. What? No, that can't. Collector-san.
What, boy? What?
As you just heard, when he was killed, sometime shortly after 2 p.m., the victim couldn't have been eating anything at all.
No.
Additionally, there's more. You have assured the court with unwavering self-confidence that the victim was dining alone. But that cannot possibly be the case. Because the victim, as we now know, had just had one of his teeth extracted and was still experiencing the effects of the anesthetic. Expertly done, partner.
Objection!
What is this nonsense, you little upstart? These are baseless accusations. Just look at this photographic evidence. You can clearly see the plate of food at the victim's table.
Objection!
Use your head. That's the very discrepancy we're talking about. Or can't you follow the logic?
How? How dare you?
I think it's fair to say that the tables in this restaurant case have turned. Wouldn't you agree, Ryunosuke? We need a shortening of your name, sir. Stat. Yes, most definitely. So having just undergone some dental surgery, the victim was unable to eat. Which leaves one very crucial conundrum. Who, in fact, was eating the pictured beef steak? The court will hear the opinion of the defense on this new puzzle. I assume you're ready, counsel? Counsel? Oh, that means me, doesn't it? Alright, the answer to this question is going to be pivotal. This is the start of you turning this trial around. Show them what you're made of. Got it. So, the person eating the steak at the victim's table must have been the victim? No. Me? Well, I was really hungry after just shooting someone. The two witnesses would be very weird. And also, they probably got more done. And as yet unknown third party. That is always the choice at these point in times for the most part, isn't it? Obviously, it could only have been someone else who was sitting at the professor's table.
Objection!
You were not the disco, will you? There was no such person.
Yes!
There was, because I saw her. When the incident occurred, we know that the victim couldn't have been eating anything. Yet we have evidence of a half-eaten steak on his table. Therefore, the only logical conclusion is that there was somebody else there eating it. We have strong evidence to support our assertion. It's clear that these witness testimonies are unreliable. If the court decides to push through a ruling at this stage, we will lodge a formal complaint with the Ministry of Justice and pursue a fair retrial. Relentlessly. Kazuma!
Are you insane? You would take on the government?
Don't worry, Counsel. I have no issue with you.
What do you mean?
I have issue with them. Those two witnesses in the stand.
What? What are you talking about?
We have demonstrated with evidence that the victim was not alone. So if it now turns out that the two of you deliberately lied when giving your testimonies, obviously you will be charged with perjury.
Perjury?
And since this is a murder trial, you will also be deemed complicit in the killing.
complicit in murder? No! Negative!
There was no mention of this at a tactical meeting. Oh wait, the tactical meeting? I was just following orders.
That's right. As the man says, just say you never saw the gentlewoman. That's what they, told us. Oh.
What? What did you just say, Korekuta-san?
Oh, no,
You were just following orders.
Now, hold on, lad. I was,
Say you never saw the gentlewoman. When you say gentlewoman, do you mean you saw the victim with a lady from overseas? What?
Objection!
What? What is the meaning of all this? These witnesses gave false statements. Is this true, you pair?
Just one simple slip of the tongue. Order! Counsel, explain what is going on here. It's painfully clear now. You try to prevent these witnesses from telling the truth.
Absolutely not. The prosecution knows nothing of this.
And who's behind this? Who tried to make you keep your mouth shut? That's classified. So you're prepared to be tried as a conspirator to this murder, are you? You wouldn't. This can't be happening. Ryunosuke, judging from the way they're reacting to this, I'd say they were sworn to silence by someone with considerable influence. However, I don't believe Aochi had any idea about it. What are you saying? I mean, to wield that kind of influence, there are only a handful of possibilities. It could only have been the government, the military, or the police, I suppose. Well, any ideas about who might be behind this? If we can affirm who tried to silence these witnesses, then we can continue our pursuit. So we need to name whoever it was that tried to make the witnesses keep their mouths shut. Of course, we'll need evidence before we make any firm accusations. Evidence that proves whoever it was really did wield his or her power here. But how? How can we possibly... Remember how we made progress before? We examined this piece of evidence in more detail and found a new clue as a result. Ah, yes, that's right. Well, that's not the only piece of evidence we have, is it? We need to re-examine everything and make sure there's nothing we've missed. There's no time to lose. Well, my curiosity got us ahead of there.
I want answers. If it's proven that these witnesses have been manipulated, I assure you, the penalty will be severe.
Please, wait. Your Excellency, I had no idea about any of this. I swear to every Shinto god, I knew nothing.
And what does the defense have to say about all of this? Well, Your Excellency, no time to think. I'm just gonna have to close my eyes and shout out the first name that comes into my head. Besides the prosecution, the only person with the necessary influence to manipulate the witnesses is... Satoru Hosonaga.
Yes!
Well, surely that would be Satoru Hosonaga-san. Hosonaga-san, the waiter who took the stand earlier.
Objection!
Poppycock! What possible reason would the waiter have to make these witnesses give false testimony? Now, not to mention the fact that even a head waiter could not possibly have that level of influence.
But once I would agree with you. If that is, the man truly were a waiter.
What? If he truly were?
Come on. Ryunosuke. Time to hit this court with the truth. The truth about Satoru Hosonaga-san's real identity as proven by this evidence.
Yes!
The plan of the restaurant sketched by the man in question. I agree it shows a great deal of attention to detail, but I'm not sure we can conclude anything.
Sorry, Excellency. That's the back of the card. It's the back of the card that's of interest.
I beg your pardon?
Or perhaps I should have said the front? Yes, it's the front of the back of the card. That's where the telling detail is.
Would somebody please explain what this overexcited student is trying to say?
Hosonaga-san sketched the plan of the restaurant on the reverse side of his business card. The front of that business card reveals the man in question's profession. His true profession.
The waiter's profession? But that's surely... Good gracious!
That's right, Your Excellency. The card reads, Chief Inspector, Primary Criminal Investigation Division, Imperial Police Bureau.
What? The waiter is a police detective? I haven't heard any mention of this before. Why haven't I heard any mention of this before?
The Imperial Police Bureau has immense power. Absolute power as far as regular civilians are concerned. So, witnesses there in the stand. Was it in fact the waiter who gave you your orders? Was it he who told you not to mention that you'd seen this foreign gentlewoman at the scene?
Well...
Inspector Hosonaga! I was worried something like this may happen. The moment you asked me to submit my sketch as evidence, I realized it was a possibility.
The court will take this plan and add it to the court record as evidence.
Well...
Is there a problem? Hand the plan to the court officer at once.
Of course. Here you are. Yes, I remember now. He did act strangely when the judge asked him to hand over his business card. I strive to carry out all investigations flawlessly. It's my guiding principle. But I let myself be distracted when I made that sketch. It was an unusually careless mistake.
So, you mean to say you really are a detective?
But why would a detective be working as a restaurant waiter? Ah, of course! Your salary must be terrible!
I was working undercover.
Undercover?
Yes, there have been a series of incidents at the restaurant recently. In order to investigate, I decided to get a job there as a waiter, working undercover.
Incidents at the restaurant? What kind of incidents?
That would be classified police information, which I am not at liberty to divulge.
However, I can state categorically that they are unrelated to this case of homicide.
Very well then, Inspector Hosonaga. But you will elaborate on one point for the court.
Of course, Your Excellency.
We have just heard new information from the two witnesses beside you. That at the time of the shooting, there was in fact another person present at the victim's table. If that is indeed true, clearly you would also have been aware of this person's presence, having served at the table in question. However, your testimony did not allude to this other diner. Therefore, I am led to assume that in your professional capacity as a police officer, you required these witnesses to be in agreement. Would that be correct? Correct, Your Excellency.
Unbelievable!
As I suspected.
As soon as I heard the gunshot, I ran out of the kitchen to see what had happened. The victim sat slumped in his chair, and beside him, gun in hand, stood the accused student. Sitting opposite the victim at the same table was a young lady, who I guessed to be an Englishwoman. So the truth comes out. I immediately sealed off the restaurant and reported the incident to the Bureau. It was then that I received some special orders. Special orders? You mean to say, remove the Englishwoman from the scene at once? It was made clear that the Englishwoman's presence at the restaurant was to be concealed. Those were my orders. But But what if this Englishwoman was the killer? I think it would be in everyone's best interest not to pursue that idea. The Empire views the friendly terms of its relationship with Britain more highly than anything at the moment. An Englishman has been murdered on our soil. To name an English woman as the primary suspect, well, without irrefutable evidence, that would be completely out of the question. So that's the reason for the disappearance of the phantom woman in this case. But it's not right. One possibility does spring to mind. What do you mean, Kazma? Yumei University is currently hosting a number of exchange students from Great Britain, and I'm fairly certain that one of them, studying in the medical faculty's research laboratory, is a young Englishwoman. What? You're a shrewd man. I can see why you're the chosen candidate for the overseas study tour. You mean... When I removed the woman from the scene of the crime, I thought it prudent to check her identity first. Then the court demands that you name the lady in question at once, Inspector. The Englishwoman sitting at the university professor's table was a certain Miss Giselle Brett. She is indeed a foreign student studying in the research laboratory of Yumei University's medical faculty.
What is happening here?
I admit that under orders from the police bureau, I erased all evidence of this lady's presence at the scene, and ordered these witnesses to make no mention of her in their testimonies. It must now be up to your excellency to decide how to deal with the situation. Very well. My thoughts on the matter are as follows. Thus far, the case presented at the court has been underpinned by a particularly critical premise. Namely, that the victim was dining alone. However, as we have now discovered that this premise is false, it would be a desecration of our justice system to ignore the truth and give a ruling at this point.
Objection!
But Your Excellency, that would mean missing the noon deadline of a ruling in order to send the telegraphic report to Great Britain. Our own government will surely be very displeased by such actions.
Calm yourself, Counsel. I will not allow the government of our country or any other to influence the proceedings of my courtroom.
Ah!
Inspector Hosonaga. Yes, sir? You will locate this Giselle Brett and escort her to the courtroom with the utmost urgency. At once, Your Excellency.
But that means you'll be going against the special orders you were given from the police bureau.
As I said before, it is my guiding principle to carry out all investigations flawlessly. So it won't be a problem. Nothing will get in my way. Court will adjourn briefly. The prosecution must call the English student Giselle Brett to the witness stand. Do I make myself clear?
Yes. Your Excellency!
Good. Then we will have a 30-minute recess before reconvening. So I thought we were leading to something of this point for an episode going a bit longer. We were in the nice running thing with the chasing music going on, leading me not to stop. But now, another episode of the Great Ace Attorney Adventures comes to an end. We continue on next time with our first case. Hopefully having an actual either proper witness or maybe a culprit. We will see as we continue on next time. I'll see you guys then. Bye-bye.